Hi, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. I hope you guys are doing great. As you know, we are going through some major shifts right now, and we are all feeling it very much, especially in our bodies right now. And I wanted to go into a little bit more detail on what you might be experiencing as we're going through some pretty massive shifts and let you know and assure you that you're not alone in this process. This has been pretty much everybody I talk to has been going through and asking me questions about what they are experiencing in their bodies right now. And there seems to be a universal theme going on with most of us around the same symptoms, the same things going on. So what's happening is very interesting. It's not a malfunction of our bodies at all. It's definitely something that's happening collectively, and for some of you a little bit more intensely. As you know, if you're more in tuned with the energies, this is definitely going to be showing up in a different way than other people. So, we kind of think of our bodies as a machine. We input things, we output things, we optimize for performance in many cases. We try and fix what isn't working, but we don't always register the world around us. We don't always tune in to the subtle energies going on as much. We kind of associate something that is off balance, out of balance, a pain, maybe other type of symptoms as something really physical. But really, our body is an instrument. It is a tuning fork in many ways, and it is meant and is built specifically to receive, to respond, and really to translate what's moving through the energy field. And, if you think about different things that get impacted, if you think about like a violin player, and they usually keep the violin in a very specific case. They want to make sure the environment is very good for it, because if there's too much humidity in the room, that can actually change the tonality of the violin. Same thing with a compass, right? A compass responds to shifts in the Earth's magnetic field. And that may be invisible for most people to register, but if you have a compass with you, you're able to actually see what's going on. And again, a tuning fork is another example, right? If you strike a tuning fork, that can cause another tuning fork across the room to actually vibrate without even being touched. So if we think of our bodies in that form, it's an instrument, and it always has been an instrument. That is the way that we can approach exactly how to interpret some of the signals that are happening and our body's sensitivity to those signals, versus trying to criticize the body, versus thinking it's breaking down, versus thinking there's a failure going on. So the question's not what's wrong with me. The question really is, what am I registering? What am I picking up? What is actually happening in the environment around me, that I am getting signals within my body that there's something actually going on. So if we look at the body from an energetic lens, the body really operates electrochemically. So our nervous system and our brain and the heart all have these electromagnetic fields around them. And our heart field is especially extremely sensitive and very wide. So when someone walks into a room, when you walk into a room, you usually are sensing that electromagnetic field of a person. And what's in that energy field is really important. So when we talk about needing to do energy work and clearing the energetic field, what that's doing is it's helping to reset the electromagnetic field around you and remove distortion energies that we collect. It's like a suitcase. If we're on a trip and we start collecting souvenirs, that's kind of the analogy we can use as far as what our energy field collects over time. It collects a lot of debris, it collects a lot of emotions, it collects a lot of interference. And without clearing that on on a regular basis, we can really get the field cluttered. So there's several different things that are happening in the field around us that can give us some signals as to potentially what is happening and why our body is feeling the way it is. I reference this a lot on Instagram. It's called the Schumann Resonance. There's actually a woman called Erin Brown on Instagram who does daily updates on the Schumann Resonance and does really great insights and reports on what's happening. And what the Schumann Resonance basically does is it measures a frequency of the Earth's electromagnetic fields and how it's vibrating. So it generally has a 7.83 hertz baseline. And what we've been seeing is that the frequency on the Schumann resonance has been showing a lot of spikes happening. Very unusual activity has been happening on the Schumann resonance. So we've seen unusual patterns going on. We've seen full blackout modes at times where it looks like we've had a timeline shift or a timeline jump. It's been very interesting to watch. And there's times where it's very, very quiet. But that usually, if you look at those patterns, and Erin does a great job breaking that down, because you will see patterns going on, and then you will see a lot of collective noise happening at the same time. So it's not only just reading the field and maybe what's going on in Earth's field itself, but it's also resonating and reading the frequency of the humans and the animals living on Earth and showing unusual patterns that are going on. These different spikes are directly tied back at times to our energy, our fear, our emotions coming to the surface and actually permeating out across the field. So this has been great because I know when I am having problems sleeping, if I am needing a lot of extra sleep or having sleep disruptions happening, I'll look at the Schumann resonance. It's one of the first things I'll look at, and I'll see, oh, is there a spike? Or I'll listen to Erin's updates and see what she's receiving too, because most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, there's a correlation between those things going on. So this isn't some woo-woo thing. This isn't fringe science. It's actually very measurable, and it is very documented. The other thing that's been going on so much is we've been going through a solar activity, like an elevated solar activity and solar maximum. And we've had so many solar flares being generated off the sun and big coronal holes also coming off the sun, which creates a lot more geomagnetic storms. And that directly impacts the Earth's electromagnetic field as well. And so that is impacting our nervous system huge. Whenever there is an increase in solar storms, when we've had a solar flare or we have solar winds coming off, that is another thing that I am really tuned into in my physical body. And again, there is so much sleep disruption or anxiety or agitation that comes up during those periods. And it's very much measured. You can see that there's usually a correlation between geomagnetic storms happening and an increase in cardiovascular events, psychiatric admissions. There's all kinds of things that can trigger that. It's very much the same as when we have a full moon. When we have a full moon, usually the emergency rooms are very full, or you have a lot more police activity and things like that. These things impact our systems. They impact our psyche. They impact how we react to things. So it's the same thing with what's going on in the solar activity. And I don't know, where I've been living, I usually never see the northern lights, but we've had so many geomagnetic storms and solar flares happening that we have actually been able to see them where I live, which is very unusual. They're usually reserved for the northern parts of the world and the Scandinavian countries. You can see them a lot. But where I live, and even further south than where I live, it's been very prominent this last year especially. So all of these different things are causing a lot of disruption. The other thing too is seismic activity. The physical body structure of Earth itself is leading to a lot of seismic events. And I have been seeing in my mind's eye a lot of tectonic plate movement happening. And that is causing a lot of disruption. It's causing a lot of other energies coming to the surface. So when you start to physically move parts of the earth under the surface, that will release energies as well. And again, if you're living close to an area that has tectonic plates or has a lot of seismic activity, this is something that you might be even more tuned into, and your body may be registering when things are going to shift. A lot of people have that ability to feel things that are coming because they're very tuned in to what's happening with the earth itself. So remember, you're not separate from the earth. The earth is not separate from you. We are all very interconnected. Our chakra systems, especially our root chakra and the chakras that come off of our feet, are deeply tied to the earth and the earth's movement and the earth's resonance. And part of the shift that we're going through is helping us to remember that the way that we should be living is directly embodying and in rhythm with the earth itself. We have gotten away from that. In our modern societies, we have disconnected so deeply from earth. And a lot of practitioners will tell you, and I'm one of them, who always harps about get outside, get in nature, get your hands in the dirt, put your feet on the grass, try and get sunshine on your face every day, because this helps us to move through these times, yes, but it also helps us to connect to our core way of living and our core way of being and what our body was designed to do, which is to live in harmony with the earth. That's why we're in a human experience. That's why we're in the earth school, is to connect within that particular frequency. So, all the things that we're going through right now is a navigation process. We're all processing through things internally in real time. And what's happening in the exterior world is very much also impacting our internal structures as well. And I've just launched a companion mini series about reclaiming your field. It's about how do we bridge between where we're at now and recognizing all of the invisible systems that have been permeated through our environment for our entire lives. We really don't know anything different. And how do we bridge to what is coming and what is new? Since 2023, I have been receiving very clear information and details about the ways in which we will be living and important components of that process. But I don't think we're quite there yet in order to really start talking about those and implementing them in a very conscious and very structured way. We're all still so tied into these structures, these distorted structures, these inverted structures that we have come to just accept as our everyday normal lives. And so the process that we're in right now is understanding and having awareness around that these structures are actually dissolving. There's so much on our face right now that we can't ignore it, and that we have to understand that the distortion that lies within us is what we're seeing externally in the world. And this is why turning inward to take back control over your own energy, to take back control over where you're putting your energy, because the systems, they live and they thrive off of your attention, your time, and your money. And so we have to understand that a shift in those three areas are going to actually shift much faster the way in which we want to live our lives. And that's very, very scary for most people. It means there's disruption to their stability. But for some of you, it's also a very exciting time, because for many of you, the whole reason that you're here embodied and living through probably the greatest shift of our lifetimes, for sure, is because you came in to assist with this change. And so this is part of what we're going through. But what we're seeing in our bodies is we're seeing a very deep grief happening. And there's a deep grief that's not quite understood, because what the body's sensing is that there is this change happening at scale in real time. And it's causing disorientation, because it's almost as though our navigational landmarks are moving or they've disappeared. And we don't quite know what to attach to or to hold on to or to understand as reality or not reality. And so this is bringing up a lot of grief within our bodies. And there's a lot of emotional volatility along with that. So the body is processing what the mind is not yet able to grasp. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation. I remember getting LASIK eye surgery a few years ago. And they asked me before I went in, do I want to go have some, a Valium or whatever? And I was like, no, I'm good. They're like, it goes really fast. I'm like, okay. So I go in and they work on the first eye, and I don't know what's going on. I have no understanding of what's going to happen. They don't outline it for you. And they, tape my eye open. They basically laser off a layer of your eye, do a laser thing, and then flip it back over. And then they move to the other eye. And by the time they moved to my other eye, my brain started to catch up with what was happening. And I began to go into panic mode. But by the time my system really started to go into panic mode, they were done with my other eye. The whole procedure was over. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. It's like, your body's going through this thing, but your mind just can't quite catch up yet to what is actually happening. And it's wanting to freak out, but it just can't quite freak out yet, because it's not able to grasp onto what is happening. So this is really kind of what is going on right now. So you're not only are we going through that, right? We're just trying to grasp, but we're also going through a collective shift, right? And so it's not just about your personal experience, it's about the collective field as well. And we're feeling all of the shared emotional and energetic stuff that's going on with everybody else. And so there's this weight of everything. And everybody who's living on Earth is trying to process this collectively. And some people are processing it very beautifully because they have taken a lot of time to do inner work, inner cultivation, they meditate, they've got all the practices and the tools in the toolbox. And other people are just struggling. They're struggling, and they're going to continue to struggle. If we look over the last 7 years, and I talked about this in the last podcast, where we have gone through this massive transformation since 2018 with Uranus going through Taurus, which is about our stability. It's about our physical possessions. It's about the physical earth, all of those things. And we also have had Chiron going through Aries about our own self-identity and our own self-worth. Those two transits alone have been massive. But when you think about all the events that have occurred since 2018, I mean, we've had a pandemic, we've had economic, breakdowns, we've had international relations breakdowns, we've had violence, we've had all kinds of things happening that our nervous system has just gone into disruption mode over and over and over again. And so right now what's happening is that we're getting disrupted. We're getting, constantly bombarded, and the field is absolutely bombarded right now with just one thing after another, after another, after another. But you have to remember that these are also consciousness shifters and consciousness shakers. It's a hard word to say together. Consciousness shakers, and this is helping to shift us at even a faster rate. And so the body itself is trying to figure out what is going on, because the mind is just trying to stay in a protective mode. It's just trying to deal and cope with all the things going on. If we were to sit down and try and process every single thing that was going on, really try and process it, we would short out. It's just too much. Everything's just too much right now. So this is what is happening. It's just a very overwhelming thing that's going on for all of us right now. I'm struggling. I'm a nail biter. I've been biting my nails more than I want to. Just the anxiety, the underlying anxiety is definitely there. And I'm trying to keep, myself out of my energy, out of these things. But I'm so sensitive to collective energy that it doesn't matter if I don't turn on the news, if I don't watch stuff, I'm feeling all of this collective energy. Plus I have my own stuff, I'm still, going through a deep process even now of working through some old traumas that keep coming up. So we're all in it. We're all in it together. So here's the top things that I am seeing coming up for all of us. Number one is sleepless nights. There is usually a restlessness, and sleep cycles are being disrupted between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. Now, if you look at that within the Chinese wheel, there's a lot of things that are happening between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. The biggest one, though, that I keep honing in on is the liver. The liver is where we process a lot of anger, aggression, frustration. A lot of that comes out at liver time, and the liver's trying to detox. Plus, our livers are just overtaxed anyway because of our food supply system and what we're putting into our bodies. So that's usually where we're seeing most people waking up, is between that time, and it makes complete sense. There's just, so much going on too. Usually the field is very loud at that hour and that time frame. This is where, when we are sleeping, we're usually in a very lucid state where we're actually in the astral. So there's a lot of dreams coming up for people, a lot of past life clearing coming up through dreams, a lot of unresolved issues that you've had in this lifetime coming up in those dreams, a lot of very weird dreams. I get a lot of symbolism, and so there's usually a lot of symbolism going through these dreams. Repressed desires and needs are also coming up to the forefront. So a lot of the stuff is processing through while you're trying to sleep, and that is why you may be waking up at that time. So look at what's going on, look at where your frustrations are, look at where there's some anger that you're holding on to, or anger that you've got right now present that you need to work through and talk through and get out of your system. This is where getting out in nature is great. If you need to beat the shit out of a pillow, beat the shit out of a pillow. I've been doing a lot of working out, lifting weights to try and move the body and get some of the stagnation out of the body every day. The second thing is anxiety, which I mentioned. I am definitely anxious, more anxious than normal. I just feel this overwhelm of my mind can't shut off. My ADHD is definitely ramped up. I start going down a path of trying to create stuff, and then I'm overwhelmed. So there's a lot of this. Again, the nail biting is a big signal for me when I'm starting to sit at my desk and I'm trying to write something and I start nail biting. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what's going on. So there's just that overwhelm. Try and lay off. I mean, coffee is my start to every morning is a cup of coffee. I'm not laying off of that. I don't drink caffeine through the rest of the day, just that morning coffee. But that alone can sometimes agitate as well. So I've got to come back to breath work. I got to come back to focusing. I've got to come back to the body for sure. And then the other thing that has been happening is exhaustion beyond normal exhaustion. It has been so intense for everybody I know. And what I keep being shown is that there are dormant DNA parts starting to actually come online. And it's just like when we were teenagers and we would sleep till noon and we would be going through these massive growth spurts. Our mind was growing, our body was growing, our organs, everything was growing during that period. And this is what I keep being shown is that we are in this massive growth spurt. And part of that growth spurt is about expanding the field, expanding our bandwidth to be able to tune into new frequencies, because the way that we're going to be communicating is shifting. It is shifting in a major way. And we are needing to adjust the physical body, our mental body, our emotional body, and the spiritual body has to shift in order for us to move into this new way of living. And this new way of living is multi-dimensional. It is a multi-dimensional way of living, which means our abilities to communicate. This whole thing with Uranus moving into Gemini right now is so fascinating to me, because that's opening up a new way of communicating, a new way of actually interacting. And it's basically a Trinity effect. And what I've been shown is that we have all of the elementals of Earth, animals, plants, flora, fauna, rocks, crystals, all of those things. Then you have the human layer, and then you have the cosmic layer. And all three of those things are merging together. All of them are merging together, which means when they merge together, we, the humans, have to be able to tune our bodies in a different way, our minds, our communication skills in a different way, in order to actually interact with all of these different planes of consciousness and planes of frequency. And so the recalibration of the body is part of this process. So rest when you need rest, go take a nap, sleep in, do some things. I'm looking at my summer schedule just to figure out, can I just not do much of anything this summer, and just have that summer to really be in nature, decompress, and have this time for more rest. And then the final thing that I'm seeing is a lot of unexpected emotions. There is so much of this repressed emotional state. Many of us have never learned, we were never taught how to be emotionally okay. That was never a thing. It was like, you're crying, get over it, move on. Just deal with it. So that's a lot of this really old suppressed stuff is coming up to the surface right now. And it's okay. I've had to tell myself this. It's okay not to intellectualize everything. It's okay to actually talk through this. I'm talking with my therapist about this. I want to be more in my body when I'm working through some of this stuff, because feeling it versus intellectualizing it is so very important. And so all of these emotions are very much part of what we're going through right now. It's coming up. So just let them come up, let them process through. It's clearing a whole bunch of old karma away, frankly, that has to go as we move into this new way of being as well. So what do we do? What do we do? With all this stuff, what are we going to do? So the overall goal, we don't want to try and calm the symptoms so you can try and get back to some normalcy. Normal is what was. So our baseline normal is shifting at a dramatic rate, okay? So we've got to learn how to navigate through that and create a new way of normalcy. You obviously are already seeing this play out. Normalcy is gone. So chaos is right now at the forefront. we've got to come back to us, taking the power back for ourselves to say, what's normal for me? What's my baseline normal? My baseline normal is I go down, I get my cup of coffee, make sure the kiddo gets to school okay, and then it's connecting in with my animals, it's going outside, it's getting sun on my face, it's going out to the garden, putting my hands in the dirt, taking a walk in nature, just anything to bring back some very simple, calming, quiet routines, especially first thing in the morning. I find myself going very slow in the mornings just to orient to waking up, not picking up the phone, just starting my day very calm. Okay. So also the big thing is we're not trying to fix anything. We're just trying to reorient to whatever's happening. So we're not trying to make things stop. Things are shifting. There's no point in putting on the brakes. It's changing. So how can I be in a relationship with the present moment, the here and the now? And this is really what it's asking us to do is stop worrying about the past. You can't change it. You can't predict the future. Just go with it. What can I do in this very moment? In this moment, what can I do? How can I be as present as possible in the moment? Okay? And just know that everything is a signal right now. We don't need to pathologize anything. We need to stop feeling guilty, especially if you're a woman listening to this. We have been taught for so long that rest is laziness. It is not. Rest is restorative. It is needed. It is absolutely warranted, and you have permission to rest. Again, if you're waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning, just say, hello, what am I receiving? What am I integrating right now? And just let your body know that it's safe. It is safe to receive. It is safe to be in the present moment. It is safe to integrate whatever is coming in. And again, let the emotions move through. Don't try and force anything. Don't try and understand it. Just let it move through. It will reveal what it's trying to tell you. And then as I'm talking about this new mini podcast series, part of it's around our attention and what we're putting our attention to. So if you're doom scrolling, if you are on 24-hour news channels, if this is creating anxiety for you or overwhelm for you, try and pull that back. Try and put the phone in the other room. Don't be on it constantly. Try and reduce your diet down, your news diet down to as minimum exposure as you can. I do not watch the news at all, but trust me, if I get on social media for 5 minutes, I will figure out what's going on pretty darn quickly, or I'll just type in a news network, look at the top headlines, and close it down for the day. That's all I need to know. And really, your local community is going to be much more impactful. So if you know what's going on in your community, that's the best thing for you to do, because that's going to impact you, your everyday to day life. Very rarely are you going to get impacted at a national level. You do, but not the same as you do at your local level. So try and reframe that and look at going through that. And if you are really struggling, as have been really struggling, I've amped up my therapy appointments with my therapist, because I know at this time my anxiety is higher. I've got a lot of emotions coming up. There's work to still do. And I am seeking outside help right now. So I'm turning to professionals who can help me work through some things that, sometimes even though I do the emotion code once a week and I look at emotions and I release those, sometimes you have to go a little bit deeper than just the energy work and really get into the mind and try and find some other tools to help you navigate through these times. So whatever tools will work for you, by all means, we have them available. If we have the ability to get them, try and get them. There's obviously a lot of free resources out there too. all over the place for all of us to obtain as well. And just know that your body really is a guide. So it's really to know that things are changing, that the sensitivity is a gift. It can be a little bit overwhelming, but having that ability to tune in is really a gift. You are able to sense things a lot faster than most people, and just give gratitude to that because it's really important. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. There is obviously so much happening right now, and I do have a couple of free resources on my website. It's Stina, Stina, Myers, MEIERS.com, where I've got some guides for you. So there is a guide called Navigating the In-Between, which is really talking about exactly what we talked about today, things that are going on, how to help your body during this time. And then Reclaiming Your Field is the second free guide that I've got out there that is accompanied by this mini podcast series that I'm putting out. And this is very practical, easy guides on how to recognize what system structures that your attention, your time, and your money are going to, and how you can consciously and very easily and methodically start to recognize those, and how you can start to pull your energy back. Because your energy is your most valuable thing. Your time and your energy are the most valuable tools you have. They're your most valuable resources. And if each of us can kind of pull that energy back in, those systems cannot sustain themselves for much longer when we have our own power pulled back and our energy pulled back. Also, if you are looking for guidance during this time, I do have astrological sessions available, either to look at where you're currently at in your life path, what's going on currently for you, what are the major things you're working on, or if you want to look at your natal chart, we can certainly look at the blueprint of what you came in here to do. What are the major themes? What are the things you're working on? And go from there. Or we can do a combined one, which is a little bit of both. And if you're a parent or a grandparent, I also have child chart readings for you. That just helps you as a parent or grandparent help to understand this child. Again, what are kind of the major ways that they communicate? How do they use their energy? What are some of the major themes that they're here to learn? That gives you perspective and guidance as a parent to be able to navigate through these times with your kiddo as well. Because trust me, if you are going through it, they are definitely going through it. And they are here to be major catalysts for all of us as we all are going through this change. And they definitely know a lot about what's going on right now and are here to help us in so many ways to get through this time. Anyway, hoping and sending you all the love in the world as we all navigate through what is going on. Take care, and I will talk to you next time.